Our undergraduate speaker this evening is Michael Ergo, who joined the Marines after leaving high school, where he served for 4 years and served 2 tours in Iraq. After returning to the U.S., he attended Diablo Valley College and then transferred to UC Berkeley in the fall of 2008. Before Michael came to Cal, he created a support group for vets dealing with PTSD and adjustment issues called Vets for Vets, and it is now an active campus organization supporting veterans at Berkeley. After graduating with his BA this year, Michael will return to Haviland Hall as a first-year MSW student next fall in the mental health concentration. As the 2010 undergraduate student speaker. Michael.
Well, Mike.
Don't worry, we're almost done. This is the first school I've graduated ever, so I'm going to take a couple of pictures. Preparing for today, I was thinking of the highlights of my time at Cal. I remember my first time walking through Sather Gate at noon and being ambushed with flyers to join every group from Habitat for Humanity to the Ski and Snowboard Club. I remember the first lecture I had in Wheeler Auditorium and wondering how a professor could possibly grade 700 final exams. I remember rushing the football field at Stanford this last fall, much to the horror of Tiger Woods and his private school buddies, who watched us beat their team that year. Oops. I remember the quiet mornings spent under the redwood trees outside of Haviland Hall enjoying the solitude. The path that led me here to UC Berkeley's School of Social Welfare was not traditional, to say the least. After high school in 2001, I joined the Marine Corps to serve our country. In boot camp, I met many people from a multitude of backgrounds. I met Marines who came from wealthy families and Marines who lived in poverty. I met African Americans from Louisiana, Irish Americans from South Boston, and Mexican Americans from El Paso. My 4-year stint in the Marines took me to Iraq twice, where I saw firsthand the brutal struggle for survival known as combat. I experienced the absolute chaos and confusion that is known as the fog of war. I witnessed young men wounded and killed in battle, and after it was over, I saw the detrimental effects that war has on those who survive. Many soldiers who fight in Iraq return home with visible wounds and scars, from bullet wounds to traumatic brain injury. However, many more return home from the battlefield with invisible wounds, especially PTSD. Post-traumatic stress disorder affects 1 out of every 3 men and women who have served in Iraq and Afghanistan. And after I returned from Iraq, the second time, I learned I was one of those. I discovered that I cannot be around crowds or around loud noises. Many days, while driving to community college classes, I would suffer a panic attack. I became intensely afraid that something horrible was about to happen. I would become sweating as my heart would beat faster and faster. Many times, I would just turn the car around and go home to isolate myself in a quiet, dark room for the rest of the day. I ignored the attacks, and they continued and they got worse. A neighbor who was a Vietnam veteran recognized what I was going through, and he recommended I see a social worker at the local vet center. A few months passed before I took his advice, but eventually I did. In my social welfare practice class, we learned how a client might feel when seeking help. I recognized everything Dr. Zellman taught us. When I first went to the vet center, I felt embarrassed, apprehensive, and cynical that these people could help. But in my initial meeting with a counselor, I experienced the single most important trait a social worker can have: empathy. Even though my social worker had not gone through the exact same experiences I had, she could understand my fear, my hurt, and my anger by reflecting on the time when she too had been afraid, hurt, and angry. With the help of that counseling, I saw life improve greatly. I was again able to experience joy and appreciate being alive. The process that the social worker took me through was so empowering that I wanted to help empower others in the same way. And just as I set out to join the best branch in the military, the Marine Corps, I knew I could only be satisfied with the best social welfare program in the country, so I came here to UC Berkeley. Similar to my time in the Marines, I had the privilege to meet many amazing individuals from all walks of life. I met students who organized relief funds for Haiti, students who confronted the state government about budget cuts to education and healthcare, and students who tutored inner-city high school kids. And right now, I'd like to thank the people in my life who have contributed to my success at Cal. My mother and father, for raising me to appreciate hard work and honesty. My grandparents, for indulging many of my fascinations growing up, like science camp and saxophone lessons, and especially my grandma, who would read to me endlessly as a child. And most importantly, my wife Sarah, who with the patience and grace to support my rough transition from the battlefield to civilian life, has helped me through the rough times and celebrated with me in the good times. Sweetheart, would you stand up for a second? She is the reason I'm here today, and I love you so much. As we enter the 9th year of sustained combat operations in the Middle East, there will continue to be men and women who serve in the military and return home needing help. We cannot allow our generation of veterans to end up like those who returned from Vietnam, becoming homeless, ignored, and the victims of drug and alcohol abuse. It is crucial not to blame the warrior for the war, and do not confuse policy made in Washington with the bravery of those serving overseas. When the men and women who serve our country return from combat, we need to serve them. When they come home, we must be there to help them heal the wounds of war, and there is so much work to be done. But tonight, let's celebrate this moment together, because tomorrow we're going to go out in the world and bring social justice to those who so desperately cry for it. Congratulations, class of 2010. You earned this, you deserve these moments. Embrace it, enjoy it, and go and celebrate it. May God bless you all, and go Bears.
It's now time to confer the undergraduate degrees. So candidates